Carter, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And let me begin by echoing the comments that have been made by my colleagues earlier regarding Representative McEachin. And I too want to send my thoughts and prayers to the family. And it was an honor to serve with such a great member of Congress. And Madam Chair, if I may, I want to thank you and members of this committee for this work that has been done on this committee. And, not the least of which has been the education that all of us have received. I know my colleagues certainly leave with the understanding that Georgia is the #1 forestry state in the country, and that's important for them to remember. So I appreciate that opportunity to share that one last time. Dr. Foss, I want to ask you, some of the legislation that's been passed recently, including the Inflation Reduction Act, has tried to encourage the adoption of electric vehicles. And in a way, it hasn't fully addressed some of the underlying issues with supply chains. For instance, the tax credits for electric vehicles that were drafted in the IRA required critical mineral sourcing in North America. And while we all agree with that, and we all want that ideally, even the manufacturers have indicated that that's just not going to be possible, and it's going to be a problem. Even our ally, France, President Macron was here last week, indicated that to President Biden as well, that it's a problem. And, and there was a witness that we had in a hearing in September that indicated that the EV tax credit in the IRA would have almost no impact on EV market uptake. So, it just appears that the adoption, the goal of trying to increase the adoption of EVs in the U.S. and onshore manufacturing is a good goal, but it's not being approached in the right way. And we may fail on both of those because of that. For instance, if I could use the example, the largest investment, the largest economic development project in the history of the state of Georgia was just announced earlier in August in my district, right after this legislation was passed. And that was Hyundai investing billions of dollars, over $5.5 billion in an EV factory in my district, in the 1st Congressional District, that is now jeopardized by the fact that they were not included in the tax credits because of the fact that it'll be a couple of years before they are able to manufacture these cars in the United States. They can't use the ones that they're manufacturing overseas right now, even though they are ally. And again, this is something that President Macron mentioned in his visit with President Biden last week. So I just want to ask you, do you think that, particularly in the IRA, could we have worked with our allies more proactively ahead of time and to ensure some kind of long-term sustainability of our supply chain?
I think you could have. I don't think it would have met your political timeline because those things take a while to hash out. I think we need to give some credit to the auto industry because they are pointing out some of the dilemmas. They are trying themselves to actually rebuild their supply chains, but admittedly, this is not going to fit within any one of your, your goals in terms of when you would like to see these things happen. And you'll simply have unclaimed credits that is the reality of it.
Well, thank you for mentioning that, because the time frame that you just mentioned is extremely important. This legislation did not go through regular order. It was not vetted as it should have been had it gone through the committee process, and that's one of the biggest problems. I've only got a minute left, so I want to really jump quickly into nuclear power, because I know that you've been an advocate for this and you've spoken on it in previous testimony. We are in the state of Georgia. We have the only 2 reactors under construction, and they're about to go online at Plant Vogtle. And this is going to generate close to $25 billion in economic development and employ over 7,000 workers. Can you talk about what do you feel like is keeping nuclear power from being a larger part of our energy mix? I mean, after all, we all know that it offers us clean, reliable, baseload power.
If I was going to make a recommendation to Congress for something that you all could do beyond this select committee, it would be to revisit the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, how the NRC functions, how it licenses we have really exciting innovations that are happening on the nuclear front, but the NRC process is not a comfortable one for those.
Good. Thank you for that. And I'm out of time, and I'll yield back.